that one. I could go with that all day. There you go.
No, I wouldn't miss a session for anything, Ron. I've been waiting for you to, move up through the district chairs, and it's a pleasure to watch you grow. I've missed meeting as frequently as we used to, but I know your life is extremely busy. So if anybody knows about membership and increasing clubs, Ron has been in the trenches for a long time working with clubs. And I don't mean just clubs in an area. I mean, from the top of our district to the bottom of our district. So there's probably few people as well-versed as Ron to reach this topic. Please help me welcome Ron Hicks, Distinguished Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Susie, for that introduction. And I want to make sure my camera is working. I cannot see myself on the Hoover screen. So can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I will keep moving. All right. As you know, club growth is one of those things, or growth and retention of clubs is just one of those things that's instrumental, especially this year has been a lot more challenging than traditional years. It's been something that we've grown a lot in as Toastmasters, and we have grown a lot in society. Just how do we do business? How do we continue to move forward in these types of times? I believe this is my personal perception, in that Toastmasters has been propelled 10 years or so because of technology, and it's on us to take advantage of that. And as anything else, either we stay relevant or we die. And that's the question that I always ask when people ask me, what should I do about my club? One, figure out what's your goal and what's your niche, and how do you get the people that you want into the club. And if you can't figure that out, then most likely you don't have your priority set in motion to where it's a good place. And we need to sit down and talk about how do we make the next stage of your club grow. All right, so with that, I can kind of see slides. I hate moving 2 and 3 screens, but I think we're good. Can you see my slides? Give me a thumbs up, somebody. I'll keep going. All right, cool, great. All right. So first thing, here's our short agenda. I'll talk about the group race of a club, and then better corporate clubs, better community clubs, better conversations, and building and leading and grabbing value. All right. So keys to member success running the club. The things that we want to continue to enhance and bring about in people are confidence. That's the reason you joined Toastmasters in the first place. It wasn't because I had this dire desire and I was this perfect speaker. You came probably because if you were like me, I'm an introvert, even though all of you probably know me and you can't tell. So I'm an introvert at heart. Extroverted is not my thing. I would shy away every time, and I'll be the plant, like Susie said one day, in the back of the room, just sitting there absorbing what people are talking about, and I think nothing of it, and I'm comfortable right there. It takes nothing for me to sit there, and I can sit there in private and be excited about that. So next, just building confidence in a person, the member, building excitement, showing them that it's okay to go out there and have fun, go out there and make gestures, put your hands up, do things, be excited about what you're doing, be authentic. The thing that people like about you is, can you tell the story in an authentic way where people can gravitate to it and believe that your story was true, whether it was true or not, because we do have storytelling sessions in Toastmasters where the stories aren't true, but you need to believe that it's a true thing. With that, I would tell you that growing that way is one of those things that we have to continue to hone, and authenticity is one of those things. Have passion in what you do. Each and every day we have something that we're passionate about. Are you passionate about Toastmasters? Are you propelling your club? Are you the one as the ambassador every time you go out? Do you have a Toastmaster pin on? Do you have a Toastmaster thing going around you? Do you have something on your tag? Do you just have something that sparks that interest to have that conversation about Toastmasters that makes people say, hey, well, what is that? Oh, it's Toastmaster. Well, let me tell you something about that and what it did for me. Be yourself. Nobody likes anybody that's fake. Everybody likes somebody that's themselves and they can depend on, believe in, and say, this person is genuine, and I'll follow them to war. I'll follow them through starting a business. I'll follow them wherever they go. I just have to believe in you, and you have to believe in yourself. Practice, not memorizing. Many things as we went through our formative years of learning, sometimes we decided that memorizing was the place to be. In public speaking, memorization is not the place to be because you might forget. I was in the middle of a re-enlistment one day, and I had my hand up and I say, I do solemnly swear I support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And in the middle of that whole speech, and I had practiced it 80 times, I forgot half of the speech and somebody's re-enlistment. I was so embarrassed. But that taught me something, that you can't depend on your memory to be that way. Practice makes perfect, and practice transitions things when things go bad. And they might go bad. It's just a matter of time, but when, not how. Speaking your natural tone, the thing that I've learned the most about being a Toastmaster is figuring out what my natural tone is, and to inflect that natural tone where people say, oh, okay, and I'm comfortable in my natural tone and I'm okay with what it sounds like. I just have to figure out, where do I tweak my natural tone, or where do I kind of keep it low so people can stay into my tones. And I do my vocal in fluctuations where people understand that I am changing what I'm doing to just make sure that I'm grabbing your attention. Keeping speeches short and sweet. Connecting with your audience is something that we all need to do. And then the 5 rules: be quick, be swift, and be gone. Make sure people remember what they want you to hear, and people only remember the essence of what you say anyway. So the main things you want to make sure you talk about them in the front, and talk about them in the back, and close out and leave some impactful thing for them. Connecting with your audience. Knowing your audience is instrumental. One of the things that's a challenge in our way we do business right now is I can't tell if you're really into my speech or not. I don't know if you really like what I'm saying. I just have to kind of scroll the pictures and say, I hope they're with me, but if not, it'll be another day. And then repetition. And paint a picture, repetition is always a good thing. As you can get better in your stories continue to grow. And there's a repetition of 5 or 6 stories that I really like to use, and I keep using those, and then eventually, depending on the crowd, I add things to it or I take things away. And most people paint a picture with your storytelling. If you paint a picture, people can see it, they believe in it, and they keep going. Be clear and be interactive. Do you want to dance around the screen, moving around? Do you want to jump up in the ceiling? Yeah, you can do that, but just make sure you're not distracting with it. Make sure you entertain, and then you have very good content to keep people going. All right. Keys to success for a club. To me, there's a few small things, and all my slides aren't this way, so don't feel like I'm packed full of bullets, but remember what's important. Always remember it's important as a club member to put your members first. Your members are why you're here. I'm not sure why I got interference. Okay, it went away. All right, remember why you're here. The main thing that clubs sometimes get in the middle of is, as we grow, and even as myself, somebody had to taper me back. You're here for your members. You're not here for stats. You're not here for all the other stuff. You're here just to specifically be a supportive member of the team to enhance all your members to be great. Whatever that means for them, they all join for different reasons, but to continue to make them great. Assign mentors. That's the first thing you do in a successful club. Make sure people have mentors. Have somebody to nudge them along, and then continue to prepare, and do starts to finish. Don't do 50%. It's a 50-50 thing. Naturally, if you start as a mentor, stay as a mentor. Keep that person going, and they already believe in you and they trust you because you've been on the journey. Continue to push them that way. Pace the club. This is very important. As some people burn out, some people are over pushed in the club, some people are under pushed in the club. You could be the plant in the back of the room. How do you pull that plant forward to make them successful in the club? Also, how do you take that person that's running at full speed, 120 miles an hour, and kind of pull them back and say, hey, you're running too fast for the club. Just slow down, give me about 80%, and then we'll keep going. But how can you do that in an engaging environment? Somebody's not taking offense to your conversation. And then know where your club is going. Your club should always know where it's going. Either if it's the executive committee or the members, you should know where you're going as a club, and they should be able to reflect back to things to keep them on post. Keeping the club interesting. This is more important than we've ever had it to be. Being interesting right now is the most important thing we can do. We got to find ways to keep people engaged, keep them all about Toastmasters, keep them coming to the meetings. Why are they coming? And staying hydrated. And I say stay hydrated because we're built to 70% of water. So we continue to kind of rehydrate yourself, repause yourself, and continue to move forward with the energy that you need to stay the course. A year in Toastmasters is a very long time, and this is the longest time right here. You're on the back stretch. People are tired if you really pushed your club. So you have to figure out what's that pace of your club. And keeping your head up as the club, that knowing we can still get there. Even if you're at 6 members, I can get to 8 with one person doing one right thing. Doing that will push your members over. So just kind of keep that in mind. Everybody has a strength. We have to capitalize on those strengths. Acknowledge your members. We talked about that in some of our earlier sessions, making sure your members feel appreciated in what they do, and then making sure that they're acknowledged in front of your peers or their peers as members of the good stuff that they're doing. All right, try and get outfit prior. Make sure you practice. Practice makes perfect, and continue to practice before you do a speech. Delegate, delegate, delegate. One person can't do it all. You gotta find niches. It's gotta be that one person that can write the cards for birthdays for your club members. It's got to be that one person that's pulling the certificates off of TI to make sure that people are being recognized. You cannot do it all. And if you do, your club will also burn out and become irrelevant and die because you only have one idea, not 30 or 40 based on 50 people in the club. And enjoy the club. And remember what brought that member to Toastmasters, and keep the fire going. All right, so now we're getting into the fun stuff. Everybody's been on our, so let me let you close your eyes for a second and just think back to a military movie. One of the things you might hear is somebody says something about, here we go, all the way, every day, 1 mile, no sweat. Just did that to bring your attention and bring you back just in case I lost you. But that guy over there on the right side of this picture here, he's the cadence caller. He calls the cadence. He makes everybody, the thing that people don't realize when I was in the Army, so the thing that I can recognize really easy and bring to you is that it's a culture. So everybody's in there running, everybody's having fun, they're doing their thing. But just if we had the same song and somebody said, here we go, all the way, every day, it's not interesting. I didn't bring any impact to it, and people are just running. So that guy right there to me is the influencer of the organization. He's the influencer of your club. Who is that person, gal or guy, that's the influencer of your club? They sing the pattern, they keep everybody running, and they keep the whole club moving. And so who's the club? That's your runners. To me, that's all your runners. Your runners are running the race regardless of however set path they're set on, they're running the race. And who's the next people? It's sprinters. You need people out front pushing. This guy with this flag in the front, he normally in an Army formation, he runs around the whole formation because he's so fast that he can run around and not be tired. And he does it multiple times throughout the run. With that, he comes back and he can keep pace with anybody. He's just that guy. So you got to let people, you got to have your sprinters out there that start your year off and say, okay, at the beginning of the year, these 3 people are my sprinters. They run very fast and they'll get the mission done. So you got to identify those people, and then the rest of the pack are your runners, and then you got a pacer. So your pacer is this guy in the very front, and he kind of keeps the formation running at whatever speed it needs to run at based on the time of year. So in Toastmasters, the pacer is the guy that says, all right, let me let these 5 sprinters run. Let me let the runners do what they do. And if we're in the back 40, meaning January, February, March, I might my runners that I might need to pull some of the runners out and pull them up, and so they let them be sprinters for that last pace. Or I have somebody that's a new member that's really excited, let them go, let them run, let them be a sprinter. And so you got to figure out who those people are. So I will talk to you primarily about who's your runners, your pacers, sprinters, and your influencers. All right, so your runners help you build teamwork. That's the whole club. They build teamwork, they do morale boosting events, they do club member duties, and then they motivate others. As a club, you motivate everybody else. If you have teamwork and events, meaning, i.e., you're doing a theme meeting, you are congratulating people for achieving an achievement in the club. They are also doing club member stuff, so it doesn't matter if they're a club officer or not. You have everybody involved so they can do different things to continue to push the club. All right, and so then everybody motivates everybody, right? In the true sense of a club, everybody invites everybody, and then you say, hey, we had clapping. All right, everybody did a great job. All right, let's continue forward. All right, so our sprinters, the sprinters lead the way. And as I stated originally, that the sprinters in my club, and my club is Premier Providers, my home club. I'm in 4 of the clubs, which makes 5, but my sprinters in my Premier Providers club, I know them very well. I know who they are, and I know I strategically place everybody in my club in a band with my VPE, so we can see who the sprinters are that's going to go out and make my first 3 goals, who's in the middle that's kind of slow starters, and at the end, who can catch us up if somebody's behind because they've been already poised for last year. And TI would always tell you not to strategically place your members, but it's essential as you're doing your DCPs and you learn more about Toastmasters, putting your sprinters in certain categories helps you lead the way, gives you endless energy. People don't run out of energy at the end of December. People can kind of push forward, and you stagger those sprinters to get you to the finish line. They also help you set the path forward and then accomplishing your milestones. So naturally, we got Smelly on the front side, gaining some members. So you probably have your influencers going out getting people, your runners going out and getting people, and then you kind of pull them in and figure out where do you put them as they continue down that path. All right, your pace setter. Your pace setter is the mood of the club. He's the person, he or she is the person that oversees the club. They know when to push a whole bunch of energy, or they want to say, hey, we're doing great. Just kind of stay the course. We love you for what you're doing. Keep coming to meetings, keep doing speeches, and then they don't worry about it. They just let it go. So they watch for sprinters and they watch for burnout. They also steer the formation and tell people which way we go, left or right. Are we on path? Are we off path? And then they encourage others. They know how to go to the back of the meeting, as we talk about in the potted plant in the back of the room, and say, hey, I hadn't seen you do a speech in 5 weeks. Why don't you come up here and do a speech in probably a week or two? And is that okay with you? And just kind of bump you out there. And they're the ones that nudge people, and they know who the personality is better than anybody else of the club. All right, so you encourage others, and you continue to watch out for burnout. Because naturally, if you've been an officer for a few years, as we talked about earlier in some of the sessions, if you've been an officer for 3 years, you're kind of burnt out. So we got to figure out, how do you keep putting people in to help you and take some of those duties off the table? Again, delegate, delegate, delegate. All right, and your pace setter does that for you. All right, your influencers. So your influencers are just people that can do things for you. You don't have to have a whole bunch of work on them, but they're helping influence the club. So social media, everybody understands in our society, social media is key. And it targets who you want to grab. So I was in our meeting the other day, one of our meetings, and we said, who are the people that we're targeting? That depends on what kind of flyers we put out. If we put out an old flyer with just old people on it, it makes you just, people don't think about it. They say, well, they must want an older crowd. If people can't see themselves in your articles, they won't come to your club. So then how do we present things that show the 18 to 24, 18 to 32 demographic on our articles that bring us forward to say, all right, I do want you, and people can see themselves in those articles and say, let me go and check out Toastmasters and see what it's about. Talking to members and your potential members. I catch people in the hall. I have a lanyard normally at work that I wear around my neck, and I have Toastmaster pins on it. I have work pins on it. I have Toastmaster pins on it. And people ask you about Toastmasters. Also, having Toastmaster magazines in your job or at church or wherever else. Making sure you have those things readily available so people can say, well, what is that? And use it as an icebreaker and keep talking. Your influencers always push and nudge. They know who the people are in the club that's kind of shy. So you be able to say, hey, why don't you come and do a speech for us? Or we noticed that you haven't been doing speeches. Is that because you lost some confidence, or you looking for a topic? And a lot of things like that. And we've been in Toastmasters for a while. Topics aren't very easy to come by when you first start Toastmasters. It gets better as you keep going. And it's something that we continue to work on. All right, and then last but not least, everything we talk about, inviting atmospheres where people feel welcome, they feel like they should come to the club, they feel like they want to come to the club and are happy about being in the club. And then keeping your members first. Keeping your members first is the main thing that you always got to keep in mind, because without your members, a club doesn't exist. All right, so recognition of visitors, recognition of members, I'm sorry. Earning ribbons through meetings, pins, tags, all those things show that you accomplished something and people are happy that you took time out of your busy schedule to acknowledge them, that one person, because the member is most important. All right, and this is more talking about, we talked about badging in one of the sessions in the Pathways panel session. I do a lot of badging in the back side of base camp, but everybody doesn't do it. So then some people in my clubs, I will ask for feedback from them because they might not have ever used the badge system or even know how to get to it, because it's not the easiest thing to get to. So you just got to keep in mind, how do we keep giving feedback to our members directly and indirectly, so they can kind of see where they need to continue to grow or not grow, and making sure we're giving people certificates for the things that they're completing. All right, so then grooming talent. You got to find the potential in the people that's forward in the future. Who do you see that's doing a great job and say, this person has a stamina to stay the course and they will continue to work? And you got to look for special talent in the club. As we were talking about the potted plant or the energetic bunny, you got to make sure you figure out which ones they are and then put them in the right places for them. Because just because somebody is doing a lot of stuff doesn't mean that they know how to do social media well, or they're the VPM or the VPPR. They just might not do that thing well, but they do something else very well. So find the talents of the people in your club. Motivating your members to stay engaged. If you put the right people in the right places, you will engage your members to stay engaged in the club. Your officer selection. Officer selection is extremely important. And anybody that's been a Toastmaster for a while, you pick the wrong president, you might have a problem for that next year, which could be detrimental the years following. So make sure you find the right people for the right job and stagger your leadership so people don't burn out. So if you kept somebody in for 3 years, you probably need to be having somebody in the assistant role to be able to take the lead at some point in time. Keeping your members from avoiding burnout. This is normally when we're in the club together and 3 or 4 people are running every meeting, doing all the duties and everything assigned to it, and you'll burn them out. And they'll just stop coming to Toastmasters completely and say, it's not working for me. It's taking too much of my time. Plus, I'm not doing what I came here to do, which is learn how to be a better speaker and leader. All right. And then your executive leadership to meet regularly to keep the club on track. All right, so a little bit about corporate clubs. As we talk about how does the corporate club fit into the organization? Most of the time when we talk about corporate clubs want to know, what's my return on investment? If they're paying for their members, what's the return on investment? How do I know that the money that I'm spending is worthwhile? So having support from within the company makes it important. Like, i.e., if you're at your organization, you're the person that's wearing the pins, you're the person that has the magazines out, because you're an ambassador for Toastmasters, and nobody else can do it but you, the people that are in the organization. So have clubs participate in company events, wearing some type of Toastmaster gear to make sure you break the ice. Offer to participate in employee orientation. Premier Providers has where we go to the new member orientation and they present 2 or 3 slides about Toastmasters. It's nothing in depth. It's just something to show a new member. It can even be a flyer when a new member comes in and they have their in-process and checklist. You give them a flyer for Toastmasters as part of that packet. If they want more information, they come and talk to you. If not, they continue on. At least they saw it, and 2 or 3 times makes perfect. People start asking questions. All right, and create a 3 to 5 minute video for your human resources to play with new hires. Just another ideal outside the box. And then leave your business card or leave something for them to contact you about Toastmasters. All right, and holding special meetings on days where employees can bring people to work. It gives visibility to the club, or even if you have a table outside and say, hey, this is Toastmasters and here's some pamphlets. As you know, Toastmasters has a ton of pamphlets. They can give you the pamphlets and then they can go on and they might come back to you. They might not, but you got information out there. All right, more about corporate clubs. When you do your club officer training, create an environment where club members do training, but it might not be it's not on the weekends. Try to institute it where it's part of the club culture or the corporate culture, where you can borrow an hour or 2 and they get credit for it. In our club, we decided to talk to some of the training HR folks, and we got to add it into the training syllabus. So every time we meet, the member gets an hour onto their education stuff, and it goes toward their goals for the year. All right, so then having an executive that's on your Toastmaster club, even if they don't come to meetings, having an executive on that club, it can also show your supervisor that you need to have some people in Toastmasters to help them be better at the things they're doing. Without executive feedback and buy-in, it's hard to have a corporate club. All right, and then you can also present a session on how Toastmasters can further your career, and then plan social events to encourage new members to come on board. If you're doing a Toastmaster day, or if they're doing displays of other things that they're highlighting, bring Toastmasters in. Have Toastmasters on your monitors. People have monitors in hallways now. Make sure you have that if you're in a corporate setting. All right. So corporate liaisons. Typically, when you do a club, the area director or the top leadership of the district or the division takes note, and they go and help the club through. Once they're done, who's there for the club besides the mentor? But how do we know that mentors are doing things right? As we've had some mentors over the past 6 months went away, the club stayed in business for a year and then they dissolved. Why? Because there was no close interaction to show the organization there was a return on investment as the organization for paying money. So got to continue to figure out liaisons to figure out how to continue to bind that relationship, so the club or the organization and the club can see the return on investment. another place where the liaisons can help. They can go and present what the club's been doing, what achievements have been gained, and what are their clubs doing behind the scene, and then leave a written report. I'm showing graphics about, hey, your club members are doing this. Because of this person got a new job as a supervisor. This person is briefing more, kind of like the international director said, because he went and asked, because of his Toastmaster skills, he learned how to speak in public better, and he was not afraid and said he could do it better. And that's things that we see all the time in Toastmasters, that people do things better at their jobs because of it. So there's a handbook on building sustaining clubs and corporations. So it's down at the bottom, and I'll make sure I save this in some file somewhere so you guys can get to it. All right, community clubs. To me, community clubs are all about connecting with members. Is it members of your chamber of commerce? Is it members from church? Is it anywhere, anybody, anywhere you can recruit to bring to a club? All you have to do is show them you care, show you have general interest in membership retention, and I'm here to help you be better. All right, so having a ball while building membership. How do people find out about Toastmasters? We have some membership campaigns out all across the district. And you know, one of the questions in the panel is saying, how do we know what the feedback is from what we're getting? Right now, we don't really have true feedback besides digital ads have digital clicks, and there's a average that people click, but we don't know what that will. How we gauge is people click more than average. And every ad that I've had that's been digital this year, since January, people click more than average. So maybe that's something that we have in the future where future Toastmasters come in because of it. I know in my personal club, because of the ads we've been putting out, I've gotten traction from probably 3 people over the past 3 weeks. And that's the only thing we're using as our piece besides the online Facebook ads. All right, ask a person that meet at or attend a meeting with you. I got tongue tied. Attend a meeting with you to be a guest. It doesn't matter how many times you come. You can always do a tabletop, or you can just be a quiet playing in the room until you decide to join. And then when they leave, make sure we send them a note. Send them an email note, a thank you, handwritten thank you note, something to acknowledge that we appreciate you coming, and you can always come back. And a lot of times clubs don't ask, do you want to come back? What did you think about the meeting? And follow up with that if they don't come back to see if something happened or they just got busy. All right. Everyone is here for a purpose. What's the why? Why did you come to Toastmasters? People come to Toastmasters for a reason. They want to be better at some aspect, some place, somehow. And so you can ask people what made them be more specific about the conversation. Why did you come? Did your supervisor tell you need help with speaking? Are you preparing for the next stage in your career as a person? What have you been doing that hadn't been working? And how are you feeling about what you're trying to engage in? How do you feel about public speaking? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? What are you trying to do? And so I can tell you more about my story or somebody else's story, maybe to help you see through that fog and continue your path forward. All right. Easy question to answer. If you were here, if you were your best communicator, or you were the best communicator you could be, how could that impact your career, community service, or home life? So that's questions we can ask people. If you were the best person you could be today or tomorrow, how do we influence you to be better based on using Toastmasters? And I'm sure all of us have a million ways we can show you how you can be better as a new member in Toastmasters. At home, at work, at school, at church, there's a multitude of places that Toastmasters will help you with your skills to do better. All right. What are we about? Building a better you. That's what Toastmasters is about. Simply put, Toastmasters is the place to build a better you. It's where leaders are made. And all the answers you just gave are exactly what Toastmasters can do for you. So anything that people say that they're here to get, we can always say Toastmasters is here for you for those purposes. And then just help them with the specific path of how to get to those goals that they have, and keep it engaged and make sure that we touch bases back with those members to make sure we're keeping them entertained. All right, leadership matters. Continue to show opportunities. Make leadership look fun. A lot of people are afraid of leadership. A lot of people are afraid to get in front. Make it look fun. Make it look easy. If you make it look fun and easy, people will take opportunities to jump out there and try it, and then you continue to invest in them as time continues or it moves forward. And you show them a little. If it's a person that takes a whole bunch, can't take a whole bunch of stuff at one time, maybe you give them 2 or 3 things and then let them keep going. All right. And as we move into new members, we continue that. We can also bring them to area council meeting, district council meeting, conferences, just to kind of give them a little flavor of what Toastmasters is about. We just created 2 new clubs in March, and we invited them to the conference. We didn't ask them that they had to come. We just invited them so they can get a feel of what district leadership is about and what we do in a regular conference. All right. And then I have some people. Do I have a moderator in the room yet?
No, but I can do it. I got the controls.
All right. If you give me some questions, I think I've been talking a little while. Give me a break for a sec. I'm probably bored because everybody's camera is off.
We have one from Charles. He asks, clubs want to increase membership, no doubt. What is the first thing a district leader should recommend to a club that wants to grow?
The first thing I would tell any club that wants to grow is what kind of advertising are you doing for your club? Is your Free Toast host up to date? Is your social media, do you have a social media page? What types of social media pages do you have, if you do have them? And then how often are you publicizing on those?
Good. Okay.
All right. So I think.
You got another one?
Give me 1 second. I thought my camera was on, but it went off for some reason. All right. Now, since we're kind of in question and answer, could you guys cut your cameras on, and I can engage with you and I can see you. We can ask questions and I'll go back because it's really boring looking at black screens.
All right. So the next question is, most clubs have moved their meetings virtually due to the pandemic. It is supposed to be a good opportunity to capture more participants and memberships. However, our clubs are struggling with member retention and membership growth. In this case, do you think our clubs should go back to the traditional face-to-face meeting setting as soon as we can?
Interesting question. I think every club has a dynamic. As we looked at the district as a whole, the clubs that didn't meet online actually either are close to perishing or they perished. So I would tell you that the world that we live in, we will never go back to fully being in-person clubs. There will always be a group of people that you can gravitate to bring you into a club, and you can do it online. So I think there's always opportunity to be hybrid. And with the technology that we have today, there's just so many opportunities, and it doesn't cost anything to be hybrid. You can have a phone sitting in a room on a tripod, or you can have a laptop and pretty much a phone or something similar. And that's all you need to be hybrid. You really don't have to have a lot to be hybrid. I hope I answered the question. Okay, next.
It was a good answer. What are some ways to retain members long term? It is hard to see membership as a revolving door, but sometimes that happens. Sharon would like to know.
How do we keep members long term is to continue to make it fun. Toastmasters is about a family atmosphere. It's easy for me to call anybody in my Toastmasters club or anybody that I know in Toastmasters and say, hey, how's it going? What are you doing? Are you having a good day? How's your month going? I hadn't seen you in Toastmaster meetings. And I believe that personal touch is the way to keep people involved. If you don't do the personal touch, then nobody wants to come to be in a club. Nobody wants to get a whole bunch of emails, just like people don't want to sit in board meetings. Board meetings are no good for anybody at your job. So why do you want to do the same thing in Toastmasters? You got to be interactive. You got to be personal. And I think that's the way to keep people involved and keep the revolving door from being so drastic.
Yes. Okay. One more from Brandon. What have we seen in results with the district using funds to support media campaign to increase clubs growth? Is it little, or are we reaching great strides?
I believe our return on investment is an overtime approach. We are investing about $3,000 a month in publications right now, and that's a lot of money. But I believe long term, as people see things from a media perspective, it takes people 9 times to see something in publications for them to gravitate to it. So it takes a few months to see the return on investment. And I'm not sure that we'll all see the return on investment this year. It might be next year or the year following as we continue down this path. But I do believe that the first step is everybody making sure that all of their social media outlets are up and running We don't have bad links in Free Toast Host. We don't have bad links in WordPress. Everything's good content. And then people to post often. And if you post often in Google, it'll show up as a feed. And the more often you do it, it continues to show up and it goes higher in the feed. And as soon as somebody types in Toastmasters, your club comes up first and people go and visit. And if your club is entertaining and engaging and energetic, they'll come. If not, they'll say, oh, yeah, that club's not for me. And they'll go somewhere else. So it's kind of like, what do you want in your club? All right.
Okay, and we have one more question which you posted. I'm assuming to get conversation started, maybe get some direction. So I didn't know if you were already planning on talking about it, but it's about the cost to start a new club and waivers to assist.
Yes, I did that as kind of a starter if nobody had posted anything. But right now, TI has where they are giving clubs a waiver for the new member fee and for the charter fee for new clubs. We've asked them also about clubs that are struggling. Can we waive that new member fee for those people? They haven't come back and said they agree to that or don't agree. I've also done that for college clubs, and I said, hey, can we give college clubs a break? Maybe give them a discount where it's not so much and not so daunting on the members. They haven't come back on that either. The caveat to the new club waiving the 20 member fee and the charter fee is they want you to pay all the way through March of next year. And I know that's to have a member for a whole year instead of 6 months. That's a little hard on somebody's budget. If you said initially by the application that it's $45 plus the $25, and then you come back and say, I need you to pay an extra $45 per person. I did that with Troy University last week, and it's quite daunting because we started off and we thought we were going to meet the initiative for June. For March, and we didn't meet it, and we were right in April, and the only way they could take advantage of the initiative is they put another $900 in for that, and it was really hard for me to have that conversation as a leader and for them to absorb it and find a way forward. We eventually found something, but it wasn't amenable to them. It was really, if it was probably me and they hadn't done what we talked about in the beginning, which don't plan on the incentive, they would have just dropped Toastmasters and said, we're not doing it. Just to be honest about it. So we just got to be transparent in what it costs, and we got to be transparent in what ways we can help clubs to get started. All right.
And that's all I have for questions right now.
Okay. Then let me go back. I'm trying to get my Hoover out back running. So I have 2 or 3 more slides, but I want to give a break so we can kind of keep going. All right. Okay, so then last but not least, in my conclusion, what I would tell you that a club is like a marathon. It's not a race. You can't rush to the finish line. It's not a task. You got to love it. You got to embrace it. You got to feel it. It's one of those. Why did my camera go out again? That might be why you guys weren't interacting with me the whole time. My camera was gone, but okay. Might be a Hoover thing. All right, so there are 4 types of members. It was on? Oh, okay, all right, good deal. Yep. So there's 4, thanks, Jessica. There's 4 types of members in clubs. As I mentioned in the beginning, there are runners, which are your everyday members. There are influencers, there's sprinters, and there are pacers. So they're always there for you, and you got to figure out which one you are. And then think about, why do we have corporate clubs? It's corporate clubs because we need to find talent, and the corporations understand and acknowledge that they need to retain talent and grow talent. If you don't grow your talent, then you don't have anybody to take the next reign. Same thing in your Toastmasters clubs. If you don't grow anybody, you won't have anybody. So we got to think about that on multi-scoped facets about how do we do that. And then your community clubs. Community clubs, you just got to think outside the box. You could have open air contests. I heard people say have a speech-a-thons, all kind of things. You just got to do things that are fun and are different and keep people going in the mundane, walk through a meeting. And I even do that sometimes. Sometimes we start off with the Toastmaster today, and then I just flip down to the bottom of the agenda and I go from the bottom up just to kind of make it fun and just change it up just a little bit. And people are uncomfortable with it at first, but if you have fun with it, people will eventually adapt like anything else and keep going. And remember, always, your members come first. Nobody else is important but your members, and that's why we're here. We have no other purpose in life but to serve our members and help people grow as leaders. And then we're all running as a club. Where do you fit into that run? Do you run fast? Do you run slow? Are you an influencer? Or are you a pacer? You got to figure out which one you are and put the club in perspective that way. I think that's really all my slides. Yep, that is my slides. All right. So with that, I'm open. Come on, or whatever you want to talk about. This is for you. I still took my 30 minutes. I was at 30 minutes, even with my 7 minutes behind. So I want to make sure you still have time to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Questions? This is not good for Toastmasters when they're quiet. All right, Susie, I see your hand.
Okay. Well, I see a challenge in the effort to conduct hybrid meetings. So you have the old club, then they had to go to Zoom. Now they want to go back to the old club, but now they have to please the people who want to stay in the Zoom environment. And they're not that open to doing the right equipment or the right setup. How do we approach that? That's a stickler to me because it's cultural in a way. Do you have any thoughts?
I do have thoughts on it. I've talked to some of the area directors and division directors about maybe we need to put out a baseline model of what a hybrid organization looks like as we kind of move forward, so people understand the cost, because people not familiar with technology, they just don't know what to do. And then our older clubs that really don't want to meet but in person, but they need to meet, maybe we start something simple with a conference call. So maybe the people that are meeting, we do a conference call with them so the other people are invited. And naturally, you don't always have to see them. They want you to see people, but it's not in the rule book that it has to be that way for you to participate. So maybe you do table topics, or maybe you do some other stuff to interact in the club until people become comfortable with using technology. So that's a way. I don't know. And you're right. You asked a hard question that even TI is struggling with, I'm sure, is how do we do it, and how do we count clubs, and how do we make sure that people stay in the boundaries of more than 50% in the club in person versus the hybrid piece, and how do you count awards and discipline? And I believe that that's going to have to come with time from across the board with TI and us growing together.
Can I make a comment about that?
Sure.
Okay. We've been thinking a lot about this within other clubs and going hybrid and whatnot. And you had mentioned something that really stuck out with me is some people just don't want to do it, or they don't want to do it, but they feel like they have to keep everybody there. An option, I know it's not the greatest, or maybe something the club would have to discuss, is there's other clubs. You could mention to them other clubs that are maybe online that they can attend if your club specifically is not able to have that technological capability. You might want to mention another club and then draw in the members that do want to meet in person, because that would build a strong foundation.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about that too. We started off with an initiative saying a corporate program mentor and a corporate sponsor, and I do have ribbons for that this year. If you met 4 times throughout the year with a larger club, or a little larger club and a smaller club, they can take advantage of the initiative as the corporate sponsor, or the corporate mentor, and then the participant gets a smaller thing. So everybody gets a ribbon and everybody's happy about it to put on their banner. Just something to do. And some people have taken advantage of it and jumped on board, and some other ones were a little slow. And one of my, as I look at that challenge, I also look at it as the clubs that don't meet. How do we pull them in to make sure we don't lose Toastmasters? Because one of the pieces that's important is if you decide to lose a club, are all the club members transferring to somewhere else to continue their Toastmaster journey? And both of those are important. So how do we do that successfully? I think we're still going through that. Susie?
So, okay, so I'm still back to the original question. Okay, so like Hoover, which we were all calling Woova until we got some instruction. We sort of resist the things that we don't know until we know them. But it took us a while, and some people are still, struggling to really fully appreciate all of the attributes. Okay, so that's that. But we had to go through that with Zoom, right? The different ways to do our virtual meetings. And there's just a whole sector of community that doesn't embrace technology. So we lost those people. But what I'm getting at with the hybrid is an example, a footprint of what the basic equipment setup looks like a table that's in the middle, a microphone or something, a camera on the top of it on a tripod, and it doesn't move around. It stays right where it is, and that all speakers approach from the lectern so that they're, do you know what I'm saying? Whatever the standard is, because I sense that, and I could be wrong, but I've visited a few clubs. They're really struggling with that. They think they have the right speaker. They think they have the right microphone. They're carrying the microphone around to each speaker. I was at a meeting a few weeks back, and I never heard my evaluation. So, there's nobody there taking the initiative to really have that plan. I think it's a district initiative, really. Just to have a basic, here's the 1, 2, 3 of hybrid meetings. And it might make it easier for them to navigate that and get more people back in the live club format that they want. Now, you know, I recently joined Redstone Toastmaster, and I wasn't comfortable yet with my foggy brain to go out down Hughes, but now it's light. So the next meeting this next week, I'm going to go to the hybrid meeting because I too, like all of you, like to see our members. But I think we need a format, a template.
And I definitely was looking. Brandon was originally, I thought Brandon was on here, but Brandon and his club did a really good job with hybrid meetings. And I do believe, like you said, Susie, that we need a short PowerPoint or something that gives you kind of the picturestic, hey, here's the cost. If you're gonna do this, this is the basic equipment that you need to perform the meeting. And then this is how you set it up, because people just, I mean, we're resistant to change because we don't understand it, we don't like it, and it's uncomfortable. Oh, yeah, I agree. We probably need to talk to me and Jessica and the team, and Jessica did mention that we've kind of been talking about it, so we probably do owe the district a shortcut way to do business for the future, for the foreseeable future.
4 minutes.
All right. Okay. Do I have anybody else? And Susie, I'll take that down as a due out for us for the district.
I was going to say, one thing with us is we have picked up some people that are out of the area, and we're still meeting online, and our place that we meet at a church probably will not be open until August or September for us to meet. So we're okay right now, but we'll have to make some decisions in September if we're going to have hybrid and hopefully keep these people from out of town, or what exactly we're going to do. So I know there's been a lot of hybrid talk.
I think that's the only way we continue to keep the district in a healthy place. We don't have a choice. We're going to have to stay hybrid, and the clubs that don't have hybrid, unfortunately, unless they have a strong backing, they'll kind of take a loss over time.
Yeah, because there's still people that really are in full employment.
Right.
And there's still people that have childcare issues and school issues. And going back to hybrid meetings or live meetings can create a significant problem. I don't have those problems, but I'm just kind of trying to hash that out in my mind. I see somebody shaking their head.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, Susie, just like you said, that haven't had a babysitter for a year because they've been at home, and now you got to go back and find a new babysitter, and then you still got to cook dinner, or you got to do stuff and prepare your family for the afternoon, and that's just a lot. And it's a lot to ask people, because we've been out of sync so long that people aren't used to going anywhere to do anything. Everything's at home. So I come home at 5 and I go to work every day, but as soon as I'm at home, I'm on Zoom till about 8 or 9. And so then that's just my life, but I'm at home. So my wife probably likes it more than me being gone. And then we go back to regular stuff, she's gonna say, well, you're gone again, even though you're here, but you're gone.
Right.
I'd rather you be in the house than to be outside the house. And I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be the same way. So we got to figure out that balance, because that might be detrimental to us. And I mean, I have some major leaders, major players in this meeting, so we know that without that, the district struggles already, and that we don't need the district to perish because we didn't prepare for that next stage. Because ultimately, that's what it is. If we don't prepare, then we perish.
Contest is starting in 1 minute.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right, everybody. Well, it's been great, and I appreciate everybody.
Ron.
Thank you. I hope I wasn't too fast, and I hope I talked to you.
Great job. You
Great
did a great
job.
job.
Jessica, for filling in. Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome. Thank
everybody.
you for introducing.
All right.
Awesome job.